You know, I've been doing this for a hell of a long time. I've been making YouTube videos since 2018. I've only recently been sharing the same videos on Instagram as well, which I'm very excited to do so. I've been involved in the entertainment industry via my late father all my life, so I can sniff out any BS. If you need to be listening to what anyone says, it's me, because I'm measured and I'm balanced, and I'll sit on that fence whether it hurts my backside or not. So we have two pieces of DCU news to talk about today. Number one, James Gunn teases the DCU Batman in the penultimate episode of Creature Commandos, and according to IMDb, Superman is the most anticipated film of 2025. So, let's start with James Gunn's tease of the DCU Batman. Well, it doesn't look like Robert Pattinson's Batman, does it now? It looks like Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns Batman. This is very, very interesting because I don't know if you know this, we've discussed this a long time ago. James Gunn wanted Ben Affleck, not Andres Muschietti, to direct Brave and the Bold. Affleck said no because they wouldn't give him creative control of the movie. Because James Gunn was talking about publicly getting Ben to direct the DCU movie. And once Gunn said that, like a day or so later, Affleck was on the Hollywood Reporter saying he would never direct a DCU movie. It's not what he wants to do. That's because they won't give him creative control of a movie. But could it be that after all the talk of Robert Pattinson merging with the DCU, that Batfleck could still be Batman in the DCU? After all, the DCU was born from the DCEU, from Barry Allen, aka Ezra Miller, breaking the timeline and changing the past and coming back and all of that. The Flash movie is the reason the DCU exists. Even James Gunn had said so. So I've had this theory for the longest of time, even though Henry Cavill is no longer Superman, that Ben Affleck could be the DCU Batman. We'll see. But here's the thing. Gunn was talking about on Rotten Tomatoes about the penultimate episode of Creature Commandos, and at first the artists were giving like more of a blatant picture of Batman. They said, no, I'm not ready to decide what he's wearing and what he looks like. So is it even a thing that the way we saw Batman in that penultimate episode is the way he's going to be in the DCU? I have no idea. We also saw some images of Gotham City that looks a lot more fantastical than what Christopher Nolan gave us. A bit more Tim Burton-esque. Tim Burton's Gotham is my favourite Gotham because it's fantastical, and Gunn has already promised that he's going to give us a fantastical metropolis, Gotham City, and DC Universe in general. In terms of Batman, you should take nothing for granted. At this moment in time, it could be Pattinson. It may not be Pattinson. It could be Batfleck. It could be. Do not say this isn't possible and that isn't possible. Right now, anything is possible in terms of the DCU Batman. Because the reality is that James Gunn may not even have an idea for who is going to play the DCU Batman. But the bigger reality is, as I say every single day, that WB do not want two Batmen. They do not want two live-action Batmen. So what's going to happen here? Well, how can they distinguish? How can they distinguish and not confuse people? Well, Ben Affleck remaining as Batman would be a good thing. Because then people say, yes, that's Batfleck, and that's Pattinson, right? And people wouldn't be so confused. So that's interesting. But James Gunn may not have any plans for the DCU Batman. He may have just put that DCU Batman in the penultimate episode of Creature Commandos as a tease. I still believe that Batman will cameo in Superman. I believe he has to cameo in Superman. There needs to be a Batman in this universe. You can't hide him until the release thereafter of the Batman 2. You can't do that. But they don't want two Batmen. It's a bit of a mess, everyone. So at this moment in time, as exciting as that reveal was in the penultimate episode of Creature Commandos, it kind of doesn't mean very much. But it is interesting that the design for that Batman, the DCU's Batman, that's what he looks like. That's what the reveal was. He looks exactly like Frank Miller's Batman. And Ben Affleck was inspired by Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. Zack Snyder's obsessed with that graphic novel, isn't he? So, if you take that design literally, there's more chance of Ben Affleck remaining as Batman than Robert Pattinson being the DCU Batman. This, like many things, is dividing the DC fandom. Some people are desperate for Pattinson to merge with the DCU, and some people who are a fan of what Matt Reeves is doing, the Batman crime saga, do not want that. People like Boba Talks, the very famous YouTuber, and I understand where Boba's coming from. He's going to feel betrayed by James Gunn if that happens, because James Gunn has reiterated many times that Matt Reeves' Batman crime saga is nothing to do with the DCU. So it's a very interesting, fascinating situation. So my takeaway from all of this, and please listen to me, because I do know what I'm talking about, right? You've barely got any subs or any views. It doesn't matter. You've got like 79, 80 bots following you on Instagram. It doesn't matter. Just because I'm unknown, it doesn't mean I don't get this industry, that I wasn't born and bred in this industry. You've got to understand, just because Emergency Awesome has got 1 million, 2 million subscribers, doesn't mean he knows more than me. Because he doesn't. Now, Charlie Snyder's great from Emergency Awesome. I watch his reviews of stuff as well. But I was there. I was taken as a 15-year-old boy by my father, who got a job in a studio in Hollywood. And I went to school in LA while he was working for said studio. I mixed with a lot of important people. I sat on a lot of important, CEOs and directors and actors' laps. Not like that. It was all very, it was pure, right? Please don't get, clean those minds out, for crying out loud. But you know what I mean, right? So I do know this industry. I know this industry more than Campia, more than Grace Randolph, but they've been successful because they push their platforms. I don't push my platforms. I make a video, then I go and have a cup of coffee and a cigarette and whatever else I do. Write my scripts, work with my amateur dramatic society, pleasure women who are not satisfied in their marriages. Someone's got to do it, right? So my takeaway from this DCU Batman reveal right now is this. And it's not just one scenario. One scenario is that Gunn is just teasing this to get the interest going, because James Gunn's very good at that. He may not actually have made a final decision on who's going to play Batman. He may really, really want Ben Affleck to direct Brave and the Bold, because that's what he wanted before Affleck turned him down. So that's a scenario. Maybe this will be the Batman movie that Ben Affleck never got. Because James Gunn is absolutely desperate, despite how much the Snyder stans hate James. He's desperate to do something to please them. And if he was to do this, allow Ben Affleck to continue as Batman, to write and direct Brave and the Bold, but make it a more lighter take than the Snyderverse and more fantastical, I think a lot of Snyder fans would be very excited. There'll still be the ones that say, well, what about Henry Cavill? But you can't have it all, can you? So my takeaway from this is, don't necessarily take what you saw in the penultimate episode of Creature Commandos literally, but it is very interesting that sure does look like Frank Miller's Batman. But anything is possible right now. It could be Affleck, it could be Pattinson, it could be someone totally new. But because of this two Batman situation that the studio are not happy about, because there seems to be, even Gunn himself admitted, he has been tempted to bring Pattinson over and merge him with the DCU. So what is going on? The reality is James Gunn himself may not even know or have made a final decision on the DCU Batman. Now for our second story today. So IMDb have released their most anticipated top 10 films of 2025, and Superman is the most anticipated movie. A few weeks back, he was number 9 in the top 10, and then the trailer happened. Then it looks like everyone's got excited. Listen to me very carefully. You have to listen to me about this. You cannot trust IMDb. Avatar 3 isn't even on that list. That comes out in December this year, I think. So you cannot take any notice. Don't be complacent. Don't start smoking a cigar and going, well, I don't need to support Superman now. It's the most anticipated film. It got record-breaking views. The trailer got record-breaking views. I don't need to go. This is what you lot were doing with the Flash movie. You were shilling the Flash movie. You didn't go and support the Flash movie. It flopped. You did the same with James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Then you watched it on Max and you started shilling it. And you exposed yourselves to not going to see the actual movie. If you want this Superman movie to be successful, if you want James Gunn's DCU to be successful, you're going to have to go to cinemas to support it, because this film needs all the support it can get. I'm a Superman fan, as you all know. I want James to have done a great Superman movie. I only want a great Superman movie to be successful. If it's crap, I don't want a crap movie to succeed. It sends the wrong signal, right? So I want James Gunn to have made a great Superman movie, and if it is great and I love it, I will see it on a multitude of occasions like I did Man of Steel. I will reward someone whose creative heart is in the right place. But you must take no notice of these most or least anticipated movies, right? They've got Disney's Snow White as the 7th most anticipated movie of 2025. I'm surprised it's even in the top 10. But as I say, Avatar 3 isn't even there. You're trying to tell me nobody's interested. Nobody's interested in Avatar 3. Oh, please. It doesn't matter what people think of those films. I really enjoyed the sequel, by the way. I'm looking forward to the third movie. Right, this year is stacked for blockbusters, but not just that. It has great smaller films either side of those blockbusters. This is like years gone by. This is like the good old days. We've got a variety of movies, small movies, big movies. Then you've got Wicked 2. I think Wicked 2 is actually going to be the most anticipated movie of 2025 and one of the most successful. May even make a couple of $1 billion. Wouldn't surprise me. So Superman isn't going to have things his own way. We want a great Superman movie. We want it to be successful. And if James Gunn's creative heart is in the right place, we want the DCU to succeed. But it only succeeds if Superman is a huge hit and it's a great movie. So I wouldn't take much notice of the most anticipated list. And I notice on social media people are bragging about it. There's an actress I follow on Instagram who's going to be in the Superman movie, who's playing Miss Tessmacher. She seems lovely and great. She's been lifting a lot of weight, so I support her. She's lovely. And she was, she put up that picture, the IMDb picture, of course. She's excited. She's in a Superman movie. I don't blame her. But nobody on the production or the fans, including me, can take anything for granted. Do not be complacent. If you want this franchise to succeed, if you want James to succeed, if you want to reward a great movie, if it is indeed a great movie, I think at the very least, it's a good to a very good movie, because all James Gunn comic book movies are good to very good. But we need a great Superman film. This needs to be one of the best movies ever made. Is that an unfair expectation for James? Yes. It's not fair that he's under this pressure, but it's not just the fans putting this pressure on him. It's the damn studio. The studio are relying on this movie from James Gunn to save their studio. And that, my friends, is the reality of the situation.